Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video on my channel. And in today's video I will show you how I created my UI UX design resume that got me 24 initial interviews and 3 full-time UI UX job offers. Now make sure to watch this video till the end, because at the end of the video I will share with you my full numbers of how many initial phone screen interviews I got, how many technical interviews, so you can see my full conversion rate for my application process step by step. Make sure you actually watch till the end of this video, because at the end of the day we are designing our resumes to be read by the hiring manager, who will make the decision of if they want to delve further and look at your portfolio or they will reject you. Now, to actually understand the mindset of the hiring manager, you have to know 3 things. Number 1, you are one of the 100. What this means is that they have a stack of resumes right now on their desk. They have 100 applications and they can only interview maybe 10. So they want to actually cut half. So they will actually reject 50 of these resumes. They don't have much time, and that's to my second point. They will only give it 5 to 10 seconds per resume to reject. If they like it, they might stay a minute and then they might actually go to your portfolio. And the third thing, which is very important, they are actually looking for 2 things. What, meaning who are you, what you do, so that they can actually figure out if you applied to the right job. Like if you are a UI UX designer, you should have applied to a UI UX design job and a front-end development job. And the second is, are you qualified enough? Those are the 2 things they are looking for. They are not looking for your visual design skills at the moment. That's for your portfolio to do. They are literally looking for what you do and are you able to do it well. I would like to say I'm sorry because I just lied to you. Please bear with me and don't leave. And the incorrect thing I told you was that you should only design your resume for the user. In this case, it's the UX hiring manager. That is not entirely correct. You should also design your resume for a thing we call ATS. Now, when you actually apply a job on a job portal, what happens? Let's say you applied a job on LinkedIn, Indeed, or Glassdoor, and your resume is actually picked by a software called ATS. It's basically shortened for Application Tracking System. And what it does is, it basically does a review of your resume very quickly by its keywords and decides if you are actually well suited for the job or not. And 50% of the resumes are actually eliminated by this software before they even reach the hiring manager's desk. So it is very crucial, very important that you not only make your resume hiring manager friendly, but also ATS friendly. Well, how do I go on about doing this, Ahmet? You do 2 things, my friend. Number 1 is, you actually want the keywords for the job that you are applying for. I'm assuming because you're on this channel, you are applying for a product design or a UI UX design job. And in that case, I will actually add the keywords in this video description so you can actually look at them and spread them out so you can actually increase your chance of getting that first interview. And the second thing is, once you have the right keywords, you want to put them on your portfolio in 2 places. You want to put them in the skills and tools section, like Figma, Webflow, or usability testing, or wireframing. All these skills and tools, you are going to put them on one side. And you also want to spread these keywords when you are actually writing about your job experience in the bullet point format. This is very important because ATS, if it doesn't see that you are also mentioning the keywords you picked as skills in your job experience, it might assume that it's a spam, because how are you not using the skills in your past experience? So make sure that you follow these tips and you should be fine. Alright, so this is the resume that I used to actually get those 24 interviews and 3 full-time UI UX design job offers. And the platform I used to design this resume, believe it or not, was only Google Docs, your Google Drive. And there are 3 reasons why I actually use Google Docs instead of the other options such as Figma or Canva to design my resume. The primary reason was I wanted a very simplistic platform where I could focus on the content and not the design. Now, the second reason I actually use Google Docs was it actually allows collaboration very easily. It lets other people such as my partner and my friends to actually have them the opportunity to give me very fast feedback. Like if I had a question regarding, let's say, Heligon Technologies parts where I was describing my responsibilities there, it's very easy on Google Docs to edit, comment, and go back in the version history to the previous version of the document, so you can rest assured that you are actually going to edit the document without any problems. Third reason I picked Google Docs was, and this is one of the most important reasons, is that Google Docs is very ATS friendly compared to Figma or Canva, which are mostly design tools, and when you export your resume from them, usually the export doesn't work as well for the ATS software, and the software is not able to pick the keywords very well, and your resume might get tossed. So I would advise you to either use Google Docs or normal word processor like Microsoft Word to design your resume. Now, Ahmed, what do I do once I decide to use Google Docs or any other word processor? Now, my number one advice for you is to actually create a format, a template where the resume is actually very skimmable, because a hiring manager usually has only 5 to 10 seconds to decide if you are the right person for the job in terms of matching, meaning you applied for a UI UX designer and your resume is actually about your UI UX design experience, and you are qualified. And they do this because they have 50 to 100 resumes to look for, and they have 2 days to actually decide who to interview for the initial phone call. So you really want to make this as easy to skim as possible. And there are basically 3 advices I can give you for this one. Number 1 is prioritization. Top left to the bottom right is your order of importance. So starting from top left, you want to answer what? Who are you? And what do you do? My name is Ahmed, I'm a UI UX designer, and then I write my experience, and I write it in this manner. My advice would be, for the most important part is your past work experience that is related. Meaning if you have UI UX design experience, you write this on the top left after your name first. The second one would be the unrelated work experience. You might be a software dev in a previous life, or a project manager. Then you write that part. Then you write your university, and then if you have time, you can actually write the awards after your, let's say, the education part. So the second tip I would give you for this part is that you want to make it in a bullet point format, and the reason is it's much easier for the eye to skim, and you want it to keep between 2 or 3 bullet points per job. I only have 1 bullet point here because I wanted to keep it 1 page, but if I actually had the space, I would get it to 2. It gives a good rhythm, and it also lets you easily skim. Ahmed, I understand how I can actually organize my resume right now, but how do I basically fill the rest of the content? And for that, I also have for you 3 tips. Number 1 is that I want you to use the STAR approach. For those of you who are not familiar, STAR is a basically acronym for the situation, task at hand, your actions, and then the results, your impact. So let's look at, for example, my job at Heligon, which was a startup. Now, led a 4-person team during a 16-week to develop a small business MVP marketplace platform. So what's the basically the situation. It's creating a marketplace platform, and what are my actions. I led a 4-person design team, and what are my results. I'm adding it. We signed 8 small businesses during the first week of launch. So I'm basically bridging the gap from explaining something as a problem, what I did for my actions, and then I'm showing a result. And you want to do this for every bullet point, for every job you have. And here is a second tip for you. You want to use numbers wherever you can. Obviously, I could have said signed small businesses during the first week of a launch, but being specific here really helps. So you can say X number or dozen. And a third tip for here is also very useful. If you do not have macro numbers like bringing in the business or increasing conversion rate, focus on micro numbers like how many weeks. A 16-week sprint is a micro number. How many user interviews? I did 30 plus user interviews. So while I might not have a very big impact for the business, I can give numbers regarding how many user interviews I did, how many screens I designed. And this also shows to the hiring manager that you actually know, you are detailed enough to know what you did. You want to use the keywords for your job also in this content. So not only is the right side for the keywords like what are you proficient at in design, UX design, information architecture, contextual interviews, but you also want to use those and basically make them seep into your content, like I use the user interviews or design. That is how also the hiring manager will look at it, but also how the ATS software will let you actually determine if you are a qualified candidate or not. Now we are into the juicy part of where I share with you the numbers. And I'm really sharing with you the numbers because I know there are those of you who are actually grinding it out right now and applying for their first UI UX design job. Now, I'm going to give you my numbers, but I have to give you my context. When I was applying for these jobs, I had roughly 18 months of experience with the contract and the volunteer work I had been doing as a UI UX designer. And I was literally applying to jobs full time. So these numbers might seem a bit daunting to you, but if I were to do it again, I would do it this way. I would apply to as many jobs as I can. And let me start by the numbers now. So throughout my whole job applications, I actually applied to 250 UI UX design, only full-time jobs. So I did not apply for any contract position. Out of these 250 jobs, I received 24 initial phone interviews. These were the initial behavioral interviews, whether they are done in a 15-minute Zoom call or a 15-minute phone call. And then out of these 24 initial interviews, I roughly passed 20 of them, and that would be my second interview, which is usually either a portfolio review or a technical interview where I actually talked with a senior designer and we went back and forth talking about a problem their product might be having or what I solved in my portfolio to see if my competence is correct, if my communication skill is good. And out of those 20 technical interviews, I passed, I think, roughly to 6 final interviews. Now, after I passed these 6 final interviews, it was mostly to see if there was a culture fit, to see if there was something wrong or right with how we can work together, to see if there would be communication problems or not. And out of those 6 final interviews, I got 3 full-time job offers. Now I'm telling you this because the job hunt is, no matter how skilled you are, it's at the end of the day a numbers game. You want to apply to as many jobs as you can, and you want to also improve your chances of getting an interview at each stage. And I hope these numbers would be a good benchmark for you to compare if our experiences are similar. If not, keep applying, and if you have any questions, please comment below. I will answer them. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. And If you haven't already, make sure to smash that subscribe button, because if you want to grow in your UI UX design career, I will make more of these videos each week, and if you subscribe, we can stay in touch. Now, before you go any further, I actually added 2 videos to the end of this video that I believe will help make you a better UI UX designer. Please watch either of them if you haven't already. I believe they will improve your design skills a lot.